The benefits of a righteous spouse. Sisters, what do you get with a righteous husband? What are the benefits that you get when you marry a righteous man? Somebody who believes that the better they treat you, the more Allah Ta'ala loves them. Can you imagine? The believer is the one who, he directly correlates his treatment of you with his relationship with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ tells him, خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ, that the best of you are the best to their wives. This is what the believer is striving for. And therefore, what type of a man does that make? The righteous husband is the one who fears Allah Ta'ala with regards to his wife's rights. Because the Prophet ﷺ commanded, ittaqullah fin nisa, fear Allah with regards to your women. Yes, you have to be fearing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to have fear of Allah with regards to how you treat your mother and your daughters and your sister and of course, your wife. The righteous husband isn't constantly micromanaging. We find some husbands, they come home and they just want to treat their kids and their wife like a punching bag. I've had a stressful day and I'm going to criticize this. Why is that there? Why is that over here? Too much salt in the food. I don't know, petty things. Some men do that, but mashallah, the righteous husband doesn't do that. Why isn't the righteous husband criticizing every tiny thing at home? Because his mind is focused on higher objectives. He's thinking about the ummah. He's thinking about things that actually matter. And also because as a righteous husband, he has self-discipline. He's working hard on himself. And because of that, he has more contentment in his life. He knows he works hard to be a good person. And therefore he has qana'ah, rida, he has satisfaction. On the flip side, the weak Muslim husband who lacks discipline is deep down mad at himself. He's mad that he has these glaring shortcomings. But instead of directing energy inwardly and trying to focus on self-improvement, what does he do? He hyper-focuses on minutia. He comes home and he gets petty. He starts criticizing every little thing. Why? To feel better about himself. What do you get with a righteous husband? The righteous husband is constantly working on his character. Why? Because أثقل شيء يوم القيامة في الميزان, because the heaviest thing on Judgment Day is what? خلق حسن, good character. Good character is the heaviest, most weighty thing. So the believer, he cares about this. He wants to improve his character. He wants to improve his speech. He wants to make sure that he's constantly engaging in conversation in a way that is more attentive, more sweet, more caring and loving and considerate with every word that he speaks. Why? Because he fears Allah Ta'ala. And Allah Ta'ala commands, وَقُلْ لِعِبَادِي يَقُولُ الَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ, and tell my servants to say that which is better. You spoke something, now next time make it better. You did a good job that time, you improved, still make it better. Still make it better. Ahsan, always improve your speech with your wife. What a gift. What a wonderful relationship to have. Especially in a time when we know that lack of communication is one of the leading causes of divorce. That's why Allah Ta'ala is stressing and highlighting and commanding us to work on our communication. This is what you get with the righteous husband. The righteous man wants to take care of you, sisters. The righteous husband wants to take care of you instead of wanting to find out how much money you're going to earn for us. And by the way, this popular notion of young men trying to figure out how much money they can get out of their future wife, unfortunately, it's becoming more popular, and it's a sign of Judgment Day. It actually shocked me when I came across this hadith, so please pay attention. The Prophet said, بَيْنَ يَدَيِ السَّاعَةِ, right before the hour. So one of the signs of Judgment Day is what? تَسْلِيمُ الْخَاصَةِ وَفُشُّ التِّجَارَةِ حَتَّى تُعِينَ الْمَرْأَةُ زَوْجَهَا عَلَى التِّجَارَةِ وَقَطْعُ الْأَرْحَامِ وَفُشُّ الْقَلَمِ. The hadith continues, but I just want to focus on these four. The Prophet says, before the final hour, people will only single each other out in terms of salam. Small groups, isolation. Is that happening? Yeah, people are more and more isolated. Number two, commerce will increase until a woman helps her husband in business. Imagine, at that time they thought, what? Impossible. And yet this is so common. Dual income household is becoming a standard. That tijara is going to be so popular that what? فُشُّ التِّجَارَةِ حَتَّى تُعِينَ الْمَرْأَةُ زَوْجَهَا عَلَى التِّجَارَةِ, that this is going to be standard. You have to work. How much do you earn? And then what's next? قَطْعُ الْأَرْحَامِ, that people will sever the ties of kinship, families. family relationships will be cut. And then what? وَفُشُّ الْقَلَمِ, and that the pen will spread. What does that mean? That people will be highly educated. People will have to get higher and higher degrees of education. That will be standardized. Now, what's interesting about this hadith is that they all go together. It's a package deal. Young men, they speak to a young woman and say, yes, I'd like to get married to you, but the only baby that I want to have and to watch grow and mature is our bank account. I'm not too interested in children. I'm interested in money. I don't want a big family. I just want to know how much money you're going to make. Why? Well, because we both have very high degrees of education. Fushul qalam. The pen is spread. You have a high degree. I have a high degree. This is standard. So therefore, tu'inu al-mar'atu zawjaha ala tijara. Therefore, you should help me. If we both have high degrees, then you should help me. What's that going to result in? She's so focused on the career, very few children. With very few children, you have small families. Qatul al-arham. There's no family connections. They've all been severed. Why? Because you don't have a big family. How can you have a relationship if the kid's not born? Doesn't work. And then what? People are more and more isolated. Taslim al-khasa. SubhanAllah. You see that all four of these are working together. And this is exactly what the Prophet predicted, and we're seeing it today. However, on the flip side, the Muslim man, practicing man, wants to take care of you and wants to have a family with you. Sisters, please, it's very sad as an imam, sometimes you see these cases, so please pay attention. When a Muslim man isn't practicing his deen, he's communicating a message to the world, a very clear message. And the message is, I'm Muslim, I believe in Allah, I believe in Allah's laws and boundaries. I just don't respect Allah's laws and boundaries. That's what it means if you are a not practicing Muslim man. I believe in Allah's laws and boundaries, I just don't care. So here's the question. If he doesn't respect Allah's boundaries, why would he respect your boundaries? Allah Ta'ala, he believes, Allah, the greatest, Al-Akbar, right? Little old sweet wife, cute, adorable wife. Who's he going to fear? If he doesn't respect Allah's laws and boundaries, why? Please, make this make sense. It won't work. It doesn't work. If this man constantly acknowledges who Allah is, and that Allah commands 5 daily prayers. Allah commands, don't work this job, it's haram. Don't drink this, it's haram. Don't do that, it's haram. These are my boundaries. This is what you have to do, this is what you have to stay away from. And he violates them every single day. But you thought he'd respect your rights? Please replay this question into your mind, because it's very depressing and sad. I try to be sensitive. I try my best. When somebody is hurting, if anybody is hurt, I'm going to try to be sensitive. If I see somebody has a burn mark on their hand, I'm very sorry. I know that hurts. I'm going to be sensitive. I'm going to be empathetic. I'll try my best. However, the moment you say, I'm so shocked that fire burns, that's where you lost me. I'm sorry. Maybe some imams kind of just nod along and go, yeah, I'm sorry. No, you lost me at that one. I'm very sorry that you got burned, but I'm not shocked that fire burns. Nobody is. So this guy was bad from day one, and now he's been bad to you. I understand you're hurt, and I'm hurting with you, but I do not understand why you're shocked. Yeah, but he was nice to me, he was good to me. Yes, he was good to you so long as it was in conformity with his desires. Same thing with Islam. I agree with these parts, I disregard these parts. As long as it's in conformity with Islam. He's being consistent. So there's no shock here. If he was rotten from the start, if there was no taqwa, I wouldn't trust this guy with a potato. Please, don't trust him with your heart. It doesn't work. Moral of the story, sisters, marry a man who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the best investment you're ever going to make. What do you get with a righteous wife? Brothers, please pay attention. The Prophet ﷺ says, "Ad-dunya mata' wa khayru mata' ad-dunya al-mar'atu as-salihatu." Al-mar'atu as-salihatu. The whole world is a provision, and the best provision in the whole world that you could have is a righteous wife. It's the best thing you could have. I got to fancy this, nobody cares. I got this, no, it doesn't matter. But I just purchased who cares? Doesn't matter. I have a righteous wife. It's the best thing you could have in the whole wide world. Why? One reason is the righteous wife, she actually listens to you and respects you. We're in a world where unfortunately you find that there's a lot of lack in that department. Alhamdulillah, the Prophet teaches us what? Al-mar'atu idha salat khamsaha wa samat shahraha wa ahsanat farjaha wa ata'at ba'laha faltadkhul min ayyi abwab al-jannati sha'at. The Prophet says, when a woman prays her 5 daily prayers, she fasts for Ramadan, she preserves her chastity, and she obeys her husband, then she can enter into the gates of any of the gates of paradise that she wishes. This is your ticket to the highest place of Jannah. Why? No, of course we know you don't obey in ma'asiyah, you don't obey your husband in sin. But if he's a decent man, if he's a good man, and he just wants decent things out of you, good things out of you, then why not? You chose him. If he's a good person, pray your prayers, fast your Ramadan, be chaste, preserve your chastity. And then what? Obey the husband. If he's a good leader, that's why you married him. And that's your ticket to Jannah. A righteous wife respects her husband instead of constantly criticizing him. This is the ni'mah. Brothers, don't be allured and drawn in by flashy this or that. The righteous wife is the best. Why? Because as the young men, you guys get older, you're going to realize that your wife is going to be with the kids most of the day, mothering them, telling them, do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. And some women develop the habit of talking down to their husbands as well, because they've been talking like that all day, giving commands, getting loud, speaking in this authoritative tone. And so they start to talk down to the husband as well. But mashallah, the righteous wife doesn't. Most men call this nagging. It's really a form of mothering. The man comes home and she starts talking to him that way as well. No, but mashallah, the righteous wife doesn't. The righteous wife stays vigilant in resisting this habit, offering her husband respect, switching the tone, and speaking to him like the leader of the home. That's what he is, not like a child. There's a very beautiful quote from the wife of Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, rahimahullah. She said, ما كنا نكلم أزواجنا إلا كما تكلموا أمراءكم أصلحك الله عافاك الله. She said, she saw some women, speaking in a sort of harsh tone to their husbands. She said, we wouldn't speak to our husbands except the way you speak to your admirals. The chief, the general, respect. That's the way we speak to our husbands. And then she said, may Allah rectify and remedy your affairs. May Allah Ta'ala have mercy on you. You people, I can see the way you're losing this sense of respect. But this is what you get with the righteous wife. So brothers, stick to the righteous women. The righteous wives understand that you open a safe with a key, not with a sledgehammer. What do I mean? Respond to bad behavior with reminding him of good behavior. You can simply say, I love when you do this, instead of saying what? I hate when you do that. It's a different style. It's a beautiful style to say, I love when you do this, instead of being harsh, I hate when you do that. Build your man up. That's what the righteous spouse does. She builds him up. She makes him love her positivity, her femininity. And she can criticize. I'm not saying that the wife cannot criticize, but she does so respectfully, not to tear him down. This is what you get, brothers, when you marry the righteous wife. There are many marriage stories in the Quran. There aren't many marriage stories in the Quran. There's only one marriage story in the Quran, and that is the marriage of Musa alayhi salam to his wife. And Allah Ta'ala highlights the one quality that Musa alayhi salam noticed in his future spouse, his bride-to-be. She was very shy and she was very bashful. This is what Allah Ta'ala zooms in on. Allah Ta'ala could have just said they had a conversation, he said this, she said that, etc. No. Allah says, فَجَاءَتْ إِحْدَاهُمَا تَمْشِي عَلَى اسْتِحْيَاءٍ. Allah says, then one of the two women came to him walking with shyness. Why was it just the walking? Because sometimes you can fake your speech, but usually your movements really tell what's on the inside. So she walked with shyness. This was the quality that sold Musa alayhi salam. So many brothers, they go onto social media and they see a young, beautiful woman and they say, oh, I want to marry her. She's gorgeous. And I tell them, with age you'll learn. With age you find out. Brother, you really think that she can love you? Please, take a look at her social media. She's already in love with the camera. I'm sorry, there isn't enough room for you in her heart. Her heart already belongs to somebody else, herself. You can see, if you take a look at social media, a lot is revealed. You don't want to say anything, but you're telling me everything. You're exposing the reality. She may be beautiful, but she thinks she's gorgeous. This is a real issue. MashaAllah, she's a beautiful woman. No, she doesn't think she's beautiful. She thinks she's gorgeous. And you can see in every shot, in every angle. I don't want to start imitating the looks that they give, but you guys all know what I'm talking about. In love with the camera. In love with the attention. It speaks volumes. Brothers, pay attention to the level of makeup. And then start calculating how many hours she has dedicated, or should I say, sacrificed to the mirror. Once you start realizing, wow, she looks so beautiful on social media. Yeah, think about the hours. Think about how many hours have been dedicated to creating this shrine for the self, sacrificing on the altar of hedonism, the god of self-love, the great opiate. There's an addiction here. You can see it. It's clear. It's obvious. Whereas the woman with shyness, subhanAllah, this is the one you want to marry. The sister who is not obsessed with looking at herself and everybody staring at her with likes and comments and so forth. You have to recognize that there are these good sisters out there, and that's what you should be focused on. Brothers, follow the sunnah of Musa alayhi salam. Marry for modesty. I say that again. Follow the sunnah of Musa alayhi salam. Marry for modesty. Inshallah, I'll continue in the second khutbah. Wa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam sallam kathira. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. There's a lot of immaturity. As an imam, you're trying to facilitate marriage. You're trying to make sure we create families, we create homes, happy homes. But it's very difficult because there's a lot of immaturity on both sides. A lot of young men, let's call them boys, they have this idea, I want a woman to love me the way my mommy loves me, with zero expectation. And the girl's thinking, I want my man to love me like my daddy loves me, with zero expectation. SubhanAllah. Maybe you need to sell your bed, buy a crib, move in with your parents and just sleep like a little baby. I don't know what you're thinking. This isn't the way the world works. This idea of zero expectation, extremely unhealthy. Too often we see that a Muslim man gets married and the moment he's stressed out, he runs back to his mommy's house. Or a young woman, she gets married and each time there's a fight, she runs back to daddy's house. Look, you have periods in your life, you're getting older, you've transitioned from the child phase to the adult phase. This is your wife, this is your husband, it won't be easy, stay in the house, figure it out. Stop running. You've made a decision, an aqd, right? An ahd, you've made a promise, you made a covenant before God, stick it out. I know there's extreme circumstances, but man, some of the petty things that people run away for, it's ridiculous. Of course you're gonna argue. But if it's something small and petty, you can figure it out. To my young brothers and sisters, please, do not deify romance. This is what this Western culture does. It deifies romance. If I fall in love, they talk about it like, subhanAllah, it's the attaining Jannah on earth. Far too many people expect their spouse to be everything for them. Oh, my spouse is my best friend and my romantic love and my therapist and my advisor and my comforter and my encourager and my sympathizer and my surprise planner and my adventure partner and my muse, my inspiration, my listener and my crisis responder, my emotional rock, my problem solver, my spiritual guide, my hifz teacher, my safety net, my fitness partner. Oh my goodness, get some friends. It's ridiculous. Get some friends. That's what you need. You don't need to keep on expecting everything. Why? You can't expect everything from your spouse. Because one of the most common causes of divorce is what? Unrealistic expectations. And guess what? The righteous spouse is the one who invests his or her expectations in the akhirah, in the afterlife. They've accepted that this world will never offer perfection. They're past that concept. Perfection is for Allah Ta'ala. Perfection is for the akhirah. This life, it's okay. I understand that we're all flawed. And by the way, the haram music that you're listening to isn't helping. The music that you listen to that have all kinds of love songs that include lyrics like, I can't eat without you, and I can't sleep without you, and I can't live without you. When all this stuff gets repeated over and over again, please remember this. You're a Muslim. Not eating, that's for Allah. It's called fasting. Not sleeping, that's for Allah. It's called tahajjud. And not living, that's for Allah. It's called shahada. You die. This is for Allah Ta'ala, this idea of I can't eat and I can't sleep and I can't live without you. This is deifying romance. It's ridiculous. No, you're supposed to have this dependence upon Allah Ta'ala and Allah alone. So please don't deify romance. Marriage is about duty first, serving each other first, responsibilities first, and then romance comes second. Romance is a byproduct and romance is important, and I'm not downplaying it, but it's secondary. First comes responsibility. Unfortunately, the irreligious, the non-religious spouse thinks that marriage is all about love. And your love is based on what? It's based on who I am, not what I do. It's all about who I am. I'm just me. You have to love me for me. Nothing else matters. In other words, yes, just love me for me. This is an extremely dangerous mentality. Why? Please pay attention. Because when you separate reward from merit on one side, that necessarily implies that you separate crime from punishment on the other side. If you don't understand what I just said, let me say it in different terms. What I'm saying, in other words, is when you're accustomed to getting without deserving, you'll naturally expect unaccountability for offenses. If you still don't understand what I'm saying, I'll say it in a third way. Some people have the attitude, I don't have to be good to be rewarded, and I shouldn't be punished when I'm bad. Why? Because you love me. This is extremely dangerous. This might work for a toddler, but unfortunately, it's a common attitude with adults and psychopaths. This is completely psychopathic behavior. So what is the response to somebody who says, just accept me for who I am? I think a very healthy and true and reasonable response is, there's different versions of who you are. There's different versions of who you are. There's good versions, there's better versions, there's worse versions. What are you talking about? Just accept me for who I am. You can oscillate, shift, etc. So in conclusion, the righteous spouse is such a good deal, that there are plenty of people who will fake a strong relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just so they can develop a strong relationship with a righteous person. Isn't that hilarious? Even the munafiq is thinking to himself, I gotta fake being a good Muslim. Why? Because it's a good deal. Happens all the time. Somebody is not practicing, and then one day, I'm trying to impress that guy. I'm trying to impress that girl. All of a sudden, I'm praying more, and I'm fasting more, and I'm giving charity more, and I'm reading the Quran more. What happened? SubhanAllah, even the munafiq understands. Not that I'm promoting this, and hopefully we don't do this, but even the munafiq is smart enough to realize this is the best deal. The best deal is the righteous spouse. So much so that I'll fake it just so I can get this person. And as much as I dislike hypocrisy, and as we all should, I must say, I fully understand it. I understand that faking religiosity is a common tactic to attain that ideal spouse because of how precious they are, and unfortunately rare as well. So, instead of faking it, if you want to marry that righteous spouse, if you want the marriage to actually work, earn it. Earn it. Brothers and sisters, step it up. Step your life game up. Inshallah ta'ala, practice your deen, get serious and earn that righteous spouse. Ya Allah, help us to improve so we can be righteous and earn a righteous spouse. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma hadina fi man hadayt, wa aafina fi man aafayt, wa tawallana fi man tawallayt, wa barik lana fi ma a'tayt, wa qina sharra ma qadayt, fa innaka taqdi wa la yuqda alayk, innahu la yadhillu man walayt, wa la ya'izzu man adayt, barakta rabbana wa ta'alayt. Rabbana atina fi dunya hasana, wa fil akhirati hasana, wa qina adhab an-nar, wa sallallahu ala Muhammad, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam kathira, wa aqim as-salah.